Last time on Morning Mac.
Watching all the Disney movies took a long time, so I'm grateful I can take a break for a bit.
An ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness!
Disney direct-to-video sequels. These words are enough to trigger a traumatic flashback in anyone who has had the misfortune of seeing one of these. I myself was unfortunate to see one or two in my youth. These movies are truly awful. So I decided to watch and rank all of them. During the late 90s and early 2000s, while the main studio was too busy making masterpieces such as Chicken Little, Disney's other studio, DisneyToon Studios, formerly named Disney Movie Tunes and even earlier named Walt Disney Video Premiere, was on a mission to create a truckload of direct-to-video sequels of classic Disney movies, while at the same time making them trash. Which is ironic because if you go to your local dump, you'll probably find some of these VHSs and DVDs sitting there. After DisneyToons created their first direct-to-video sequel, Aladdin, The Return of Jafar, on a budget of $3 million and made a profit of VHS sales of $300 million, they realized they had an infinite money glitch and made a lot of these. DisneyToon, since shutting down, is fairly forgotten, but today we're taking a look back and ranking all of the direct-to-video sequels. First, some ground rules. Number 1, the movie must be a sequel to a movie created by the main team of Walt Disney Animation Studios. So that means no Goofy movie or extremely Goofy movie. Number 2, the movie can't be multiple episodes from a scrapped or aired TV show, so no Hercules Zero to Hero, Tarzan and Jane, or Atlantis 2. And third, they must be direct-to-video, so that means no theatrical releases, so no Peter Pan Return to Neverland or The Jungle Book 2. And yes, I know Bambi 2 was technically a theatrical release, but considering in most regions it went straight to video, I've decided to count it. After setting some rules, that leaves us with 23 movies to watch and rank, and I'm curious as to how many people have actually watched these growing up, so let me know in the comments if you've seen any of these direct-to-video sequels. Starting off in last place, I've already broken one of the rules, as Belle's Magical World was compiled from episodes of a scrap TV show, but I watched it without knowing that, so... But if it did count, it would definitely be the worst, as it's easily the ugliest out of all these movies, and it's boring all the way through. It was the only one I didn't bother to finish, because after watching it for 15 minutes, I was snoozing. But if there are any Belle's Magical World fans out there, let me know. Okay, real last place now, and it's another package film, which I've had more than enough for a lifetime after watching all of the wartime era movies. Cinderella 2, Dreams Do Come True, and the title is accurate because you'll be dreaming as you snooze through the entire film. Cinderella willingly helps her sister Anastasia, even after everything they did to her for her entire life. She should have had them executed after becoming queen. Also, at this point, I'm sure Disney just hates ugly people. They have a record of bashing them. First with Abby and Chicken Little, and now in this movie, Anastasia, Belle's Enchanted Christmas is the first non-package film on the list, and well, considering its place on the list, yeah, it still sucks. Which is gonna be a recurring theme. Also, the animation is a huge step down from the original, which is yet another recurring theme. It's a Christmas midquel, taking place during the time Belle spent with the Beast in the winter. And it's just boring all around, no more to say, and I really doubt anyone cares about Belle's Enchanted Christmas. Next up, we have Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World. The forgettable villain reprises his role and continues to be a failure of a character. The movie is just bad, historically inaccurate, and very, very boring. Mulan is a movie that I liked a lot, so I was excited going into this marathon knowing that I would have a chance to check it out. And well, it's a complete failure of a sequel. Basically nothing happens in this movie. They just go from point A to point B, get in a fight, get married, movie's over. And well, that's not terrible by itself because the characters from the original were all enjoyable. Well, in this one they aren't. All the characters that were likable in the previous film are either irrelevant or a complete character assassination. Mushu in the first movie started off by only caring about his own goal, but by the end cared about Mulan, but his arc is reset as we're back to square one with him. And Eddie Murphy doesn't even play Mushu in this one. A majority of the movie is spent with him being obnoxious and unfunny in his attempts to split up Mulan and Li Shang, in order to keep his spot on the podium. When he does eventually succeed in causing a tear in the relationship, Li Shang goes from being mildly annoyed with Mulan to acting like a complete baby and generally just an awful person. And when he dies, spoilers for all the movies by the way, are we supposed to feel sad? I was happy that he was dead. They spent the last 20 minutes making me hate him, and then 5 minutes later, it's revealed that he didn't die. Okay? The movie sucks because of you. The movie is awful because of you. It fails as a sequel because of Moo. Shoo. Bambi 2 is a very boring baby movie where nothing happens. The rival deer contributes nothing to the plot. I watched this a few days ago and I'm already struggling to remember it, because it's not a movie that deserves being remembered. The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 is very ugly. Not the character Quasimodo. Well, he's ugly too, but the movie itself has some of the worst animation of the direct-to-DVD sequels. It's a meh movie, but the villain had a few decent lines.
I could kiss me, but I'd fall in love.
Lady and the Tramp 2.
Alright.
They do the spaghetti scene again, and everything else is pretty forgettable. Tarzan 2 is just straight up lying to the audience. It's not Tarzan 2, as it's a prequel to the first one, so this is actually the first one. The entire movie takes place following baby Tarzan, the next playable Mario Kart character. The relationship with Zugor and Tarzan is pretty nice, and Turk is less annoying in this one. It's a pretty inoffensive, mediocre movie. The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning was the last of the DisneyToon sequels, and it's pretty forgettable. It's cool they have more of an emphasis on Ariel's sisters, because I forgot they even existed, but I can't name a single personality trait on any of them. Except this one is boy crazy, or was it this one? I don't know, because they're still barely developed in this movie. The plot is Ariel's mom dies, rip bozo, and now King Trident has put a ban on singing because she died while doing so. Singing killed his wife, okay? It's pretty funny that there's a scene that plays out almost identical to the one in Trolls.
Mom, why won't you sing?
I will kill my grandma, okay?
Also, Flounder beatboxes. The Lion King 1.5 takes place at the same time as the original, from the perspective of Timon and Pumbaa, and first off, it's way too long for what it is. It would have been fine as a short, but an entire movie? Really? Timon and Pumbaa, Timon especially, are characters I can only handle in small doses, but now we're stuck with them for an entire hour. And it's a long hour because the movie is pretty boring. I watched Brother Bear 2 a couple months back when I was sick, and it's alright. It's more consistently good than the original, but never hits as high as the original, but also it never hits as low as the original. It is fine. She also falls in love with a bear, which is weird, and now that's the second time I've said this sentence on the channel. The Fox and the Hound 2 is yet again another lie, because it's not a sequel. The movie is a perfectly acceptable kids movie. Copper wants to join a group of singing hound dogs, but Todd can't come because we get the answer to what does the fox say? And it isn't pretty. And now entering the top 10, we are still just talking about movies that are okay. The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea is fine. Ariel's daughter Melody wants to return to the sea, but can't, as it will allow Ursula's sister to take over the sea. But because Ariel doesn't let Melody in on basic information like her being a mermaid, she is easily manipulated by Morgana. And what do you know? Maybe if you weren't too busy gaslighting your daughter, none of this would have happened. And yes, I do have to say the word gaslighting and hipster in every video. Thank you for asking. The Walrus and Penguin are knockoffs of Timon and Pumbaa, and the movie is fine.
I forbid you to take another step down these stairs!
My name is Jeff.
Baba Booey.
Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time is probably the direct-to-video sequel I've heard the most from online, and it's alright. It fixes a lot of the problems with the original and is one of the few direct-to-video sequels that is better than the original movie. The prince actually has a personality now, and there are far less pointless mouse chases. Leroy Jenkins! Leroy and Stitch isn't a sequel to Lilo and Stitch. It's the finale to the Lilo and Stitch TV show, and it was pretty enjoyable. I can't fully appreciate it as I haven't seen the TV show, so a lot of the other experiments meant nothing to me, but I'm sure they would have been cool callbacks to people who have seen the show. It's cool how Leroy is what Stitch would have been if he never met Lilo and stayed bad. They also never befriend Leroy, which although cheesy, I wish they did because they kinda just beat him up and that's all for his character. There are actually 3 total Lilo and Stitch direct-to-video sequels, and this was my least favorite, but I still liked it. Myrtle didn't deserve to be in the picture at the end because I hate her and she's rude. Yeah. Stitch, the movie, is a prequel to the earlier mentioned Lilo and Stitch show, and as a promotion for the show, I think it works pretty well. I actually now want to watch this show eventually and make a video about it, so subscribe. It's a bit long for what it is, but overall a pretty decent special. Or it would be a decent special, but they made it a full movie. But I did still enjoy it. The Return of Jafar was the first of the direct-to-video sequels, and it's pretty enjoyable. The animation is a big dip from the first Aladdin, but I still enjoyed it quite a bit. Aladdin was a good choice for a movie to receive a sequel, as its ending lends itself to the possibility of one. The movie picks up just where you think it would. Jafar's lamp is found, and he now needs to cast the wishes as he became a genie in the previous movie, but he chooses to do so more similar to a monkey's paw, often making the wishes backfire on the wisher. Iago goes from a bad guy to a good guy, and is basically the main character, and he still manages not to be annoying. If you remember, after the genie was freed in the original, he goes to explore the world, and in this one, when he returns at the beginning, he does a little racist song of all the places he's been. The genie isn't voiced by Robin Williams, but the replacement actor does do a pretty good job. Aladdin is also still a liar. He must have some serious chronic lying problem, as not only does he continue to lie in the sequel, but he also still lies to Jasmine in the third one. Speaking of the third one's next. Aladdin and the King of Thieves is good. It's a step up from the second one. When researching to find out which Disney-directed DVD sequels were out there, I stumbled across this article which mentioned the author's daddy issues. The music is also a big step up from The Return of Jafar. After watching all 3 Aladdin movies, I like the world, the whole new world, and all the characters a lot more, and probably would have moved it up a bit in my Renaissance ranking. Also, they do the racist song again. Kronk's New Groove is easily the one I was the most excited to see, as The Emperor's New Groove is one of my favorite movies, and Kronk's little movie is pretty good. It's nowhere near as good as the first, but it's good for what it is, and is generally pretty funny. Lilo and Stitch 2 is really good. It tells a mature story of Lilo's suppressed feelings about her mother's death, and Stitch unable to control his anger, both characters struggling to control their emotions, and it does it all without a villain. It's good. And in number 2, we have The Lion King 2. It's a bit of a repeat of the original movie, following a lot of the same story beats, but it's different enough to be worth watching. It's a good film, but there is one problem with it. Kovu and Kiara, the 2 main lions in it who get married at the end, are cousins. The film tries to discredit this by saying Kuvo is simply adopted by Scar, but no, Scar is clearly the biological father. Not only do they look the same, but also a lion pride can have anywhere between 1 to 3 male lions. And we know Kuvo was born before Scar's death, and at this time the only male lion in the pride was Scar. There is no other option than Scar being the father. Gross. Their cubs are gonna come out looking like King Charles II of Spain. 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure, is a genuine good movie. It's not a masterpiece, but it's my favorite of the direct-to-video sequels, and would say it's worth watching. It's funny, charming, and does a great job of capturing the original style. Cruella makes a return as the main villain, which is also nice to see. She takes a big step up in her evilness, and takes a more hands-on approach to capturing the dogs, even going as far as hitting Thunderbolt over the head with a paint bucket. Speaking of Thunderbolt, yeah, the character who was the Wild West dog on the TV is one of the main characters in this movie, and it works pretty well. He's a dog actor, but Patch is unaware of what a dog actor is, so he thinks he's a legitimate super dog. And if that's sounding an awful lot like Bolt, it is, but this is way better than Bolt, and also came out first. And the hipster painter Lars, voiced by Martin Short, is especially enjoyable. It's just an overall good movie, and is even better than a good chunk of the main Walt Disney Studios movies. And with that, I've now watched and ranked every Disney direct-to-video sequel. Most of them range from being straight up awful to mediocre, but there were a few that I had a good time watching. Did you know that there was actually a planned Mulan 3 and a Pinocchio 2 alongside other cancelled sequels and even more Disney movies that never hit the light of day? Well, if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe, as I'll soon be making a video on the history of cancelled Disney movies. Thanks for watching this far, and if you've seen this far and want to watch more videos by me, click on either the left or right video. Clicking on either would help the channel greatly, and if you want to help the channel even further, maybe print out some papers, put my name on it, and post them around your neighborhood. No, but seriously, thanks for watching this far. Like, subscribe, and yeah.